How many times have you promised yourself, "Tomorrow I'll wake up early, exercise, and eat healthy," only to fall back into the same routine? We've all felt that frustration, craving change, but trapped in invisible patterns. In The Power of Habit, Charles Duhigg reveals why habits form, why they're so hard to break, and most importantly, how to redesign them for lasting success. From Olympic champions to Fortune 500 companies, those who mastered habits unlocked massive transformation. So if you've ever wondered why willpower fails and what truly drives change, stay with me. The answer is simpler and far more powerful than you think. Let's dive into the hidden science of habits. We all know the cycle: hitting snooze after promising an early start, reaching for snacks under stress, procrastinating on assignments, or snapping at loved ones despite vowing patience. Life often feels like a loop, repeating actions even when we want change. That's because our brains run on autopilot through habits. But here's the good news. Habits aren't destiny. They can be redesigned. Charles Duhigg's The Power of Habit shows how small, invisible choices shape our lives, and how we can reshape them to transform health, work, relationships, and identity. And the best part? You don't need endless willpower. You need the right system. Once you understand how habits work, you hold the power to rewrite your story. So what's really going on in the brain? And how can you use it to unlock your potential? Welcome to Unique Audiobook. This is where you'll find the world's best book summaries in just 15 minutes. Each one reveals a hidden secret that can shift your thinking and your life. Whether you're a student, parent, professional, entrepreneur, or simply seeking growth, here you'll discover practical tools and fresh perspectives. And here's something to keep in mind. The insight you're about to hear could be a turning point in your journey. Because habits aren't just about routines, they're about identity. When you shift your habits, you shift who you are. So stay with me as we explore Charles Duhigg's The Power of Habit and uncover the science of lasting transformation. Listen closely. What you're about to hear isn't common advice. It's life-changing science. Most people think habits are either good or bad. But here's the truth. Habits are the hidden structure of your life. They silently decide whether you move towards success or drift into failure. And here's something even more surprising. Habits never vanish. They can only be reshaped, which means every pattern you've struggled with, procrastination, stress eating, negative self-talk, can be rewritten. Stay with me till the end, because the final principle we'll cover is the most powerful one, the kind that can flip the script on your entire future. We'll begin by looking at how high achievers and world leaders build success through habits, and then we'll bring those lessons straight back to you. Think of Serena Williams, one of the greatest tennis champions of all time. Her dominance didn't come from one magical shot, but from thousands of small routines repeated until they became second nature. From her training methods to her diet and even her mental preparation, everything was habit. When pressure hit, she didn't rely on willpower. She relied on automatic behaviors built over years. Charles Duhigg makes the same point. Excellence isn't luck, it's systems. And just like Serena, you can design routines that carry you forward, even when motivation fades. Serena shows us that greatness comes from repeated choices, not one-time effort. But how do habits actually form inside the brain? Let's uncover the first secret from The Power of Habit. Lesson 1. The Habit Loop. Cue, routine, reward. Picture this. You walk into the kitchen, smell coffee, and instantly feel awake. That's not magic. That's your brain's habit loop. Every habit follows 3 steps. Cue, routine, reward. The cue triggers the brain, the routine is the action, and the reward tells your brain, do this again. Habits stick because the brain anticipates the reward. Whether it's the sugar hit from a cookie or the relief after scrolling social media, cravings for the reward keep the habit alive. This craving is why habits feel so powerful, for better or worse. Duhigg tells of a woman who quit smoking by spotting her cue. Stress triggered her cigarette routine. She replaced it with running. Over time, her craving shifted. She longed for the runner's high instead of nicotine. A student stuck on homework feels stress, cue. They scroll Instagram, routine, for distraction, reward. But swap the routine with a 5-minute walk, and the reward becomes clarity instead. With repetition, this loop becomes automatic. Control the loop, and you control the habit. Notice one bad habit today. Identify the cue and reward, then replace the routine. You'll see your brain adapt faster than you think. Now we know habits run on loops. But not all habits matter equally. Some have the power to transform everything else. Let's explore Lesson 2. Keystone Habits. The habits that matter most. Imagine you start exercising daily. Soon you're eating better, sleeping deeper, and handling stress more calmly. That's not coincidence. That's the ripple effect of a keystone habit. Keystone habits are special. They don't just improve one area, they trigger transformation across your life. Charles Duhigg explains that when you build one keystone habit, like exercising or journaling, it reshapes your sense of identity. Suddenly, new routines feel natural, not forced. These habits anchor your life. And once they're in place, they spark improvement in health, productivity, finances, and relationships. Duhigg highlights Alcoa, a struggling company. CEO Paul O'Neill focused on a single keystone habit: safety. By prioritizing it, employees grew disciplined, communication improved, and productivity soared. Profits skyrocketed, not because of safety alone, but because one habit reshaped the culture. Picture a student who builds the keystone habit of daily planning. That one shift reduces procrastination, boosts focus, and lowers stress. Over weeks, grades improve, confidence rises, and opportunities open up. Keystone habits aren't just routines. They're multipliers of change. Choose one keystone habit, like daily walks, reading 15 minutes, or morning planning. Focus only on that and let it spark ripple effects across your life. Keystone habits ripple outward, but what actually drives them? The answer is cravings, the invisible force behind every habit. Let's uncover Lesson 3, Cravings, the invisible force behind habits. Imagine biting into a warm cookie. Even before tasting, your brain lights up with anticipation. That's craving, the fuel of habits. Charles Duhigg explains, habits only stick when the brain expects a reward. Without craving, routines fade. That's why we keep checking phones, not for messages, but for the dopamine rush of maybe finding something new. Cravings transform neutral acts into irresistible habits. And here's the key. If you want to build a habit, make the craving obvious. If you want to break one, uncover the craving and redirect it to a healthier reward. Duhigg shows how Claude Hopkins revolutionized toothpaste ads. He sold not cleanliness, but the tingling clean feeling. That sensation became the craving, and brushing teeth turned into a global daily habit. Think of late-night binge-watching. The cue, finishing dinner. The routine, Netflix. The reward, relaxation. But the craving isn't the show. It's escape from stress. Swap the routine with meditation or reading, and you satisfy the craving without exhaustion. Habits aren't about actions. They're about cravings that power them. Next time you repeat a habit, pause and ask, what craving am I chasing? Once you see it, you can redirect it towards something better. Now we know cravings drive habits. But here's the bigger challenge. How do you make habits stick when motivation fails? The secret lies in belief and community. Let's explore Lesson 4, the role of belief. Why habits stick with support. Why do some people finally quit smoking or recover from addiction after countless failed attempts? The difference is belief. Charles Duhigg explains, habits become permanent only when people believe change is possible. And often, belief comes from community. When we feel supported, setbacks don't break us. Belief isn't just willpower. It's resilience fueled by connection. That's why habits stick when they're backed by both conviction and community. Alcoholics Anonymous is built on this. Members don't just change routines, they build belief through group support and shared identity. That belief shifts self-perception. I am a sober person. With identity and community combined, the habit survives even during crisis. A student may fail to build a study routine alone, but in a study group, encouragement turns effort into habit. Soon, studying feels natural, not forced. Belief transforms fragile routines into lasting habits. Starting a new habit? Don't go alone. Tell a friend, join a group, or find accountability. Belief grows stronger together. Belief cements personal habits. But what happens when companies deliberately design habits to influence us? The results are eye-opening. Let's dive into Lesson 5, Organizational Habits and Marketing Influence. Imagine a store that knows you better than you know yourself. That's the power of organizational habits. Charles Duhigg shows that companies design routines to guide both employees and customers. These habits drive productivity, sales, and loyalty. Inside organizations, routines shape decisions. In marketing, they influence choices. Once a company taps into your cues and cravings, brand loyalty feels automatic. The shocking truth: habits don't just shape individuals, they steer entire economies. The more aware you are, the less likely you are to be pulled by invisible strings. Target once predicted customer pregnancies before families even announced them. How? By tracking small shopping cues, lotion, vitamins, that signaled life changes. Using these patterns, they sent tailored ads, locking in customer loyalty during crucial moments. Streaming platforms do the same. The cue, evening boredom; the routine, autoplay; the reward, easy entertainment. Hours vanish, and the habit strengthens by design. Habits power not just people, but entire organizations. Next time you shop or scroll, pause and ask, is this my habit or one designed for me? Awareness is your shield. Companies use habits to influence us, but can individuals use the same science to influence others? Absolutely. Let's uncover Lesson 6. Leadership Habits. How leaders shape behavior. Imagine a workplace where no one takes responsibility. Chaos spreads quickly. But when leaders model strong habits, the entire team follows. Charles Duhigg emphasizes, leadership isn't just about strategy. It's about habits that spread like wildfire. Leaders influence culture by demonstrating routines, showing up early, listening actively, or prioritizing safety. These visible behaviors ripple across teams, shaping what becomes normal. Leadership habits don't just tell people what to do, they show them what's possible. Coach Tony Dungy transformed NFL teams by drilling simple practice routines. His players rehearsed habits so consistently that under pressure, execution became automatic. His leadership wasn't speeches. It was instilled patterns that reshaped performance. A parent creates the habit of family dinners. That daily ritual fosters connection, communication, and stability. Leadership isn't about titles. It's about habits that influence others positively. Leaders don't just talk about culture. They create it through habits. Look at your role. Parent, teacher, manager. Model one consistent habit daily. Others will naturally follow. Leaders shape habits in others. But what about self-control? Can habits strengthen willpower itself? Science says yes, and it changes how we view discipline. Let's explore Lesson 7. Willpower as a muscle, strengthened by habits. Think of willpower like a muscle. Use it wisely and it grows. Overstrain it and it collapses. Charles Duhigg explains, habits reduce strain on willpower by turning hard decisions into automatic routines. When behaviors become habits, they require less energy, leaving strength for bigger challenges. Research shows people with small discipline habits, like budgeting or exercising, perform better under stress. Why? Because good habits conserve willpower for when it truly matters. The secret to strong self-control isn't endless effort. It's designing habits that act like guardrails, protecting your focus and energy. Duhigg cites a study where students built the habit of tracking expenses. Surprisingly, they improved in unrelated areas, studying more, eating healthier. Exercising willpower in one domain strengthened discipline across life. Someone sets out workout clothes each night. In the morning, less decision energy is wasted. Consistency grows, and willpower is preserved. Willpower isn't magic. It's a muscle strengthened by habits. Pick one small discipline habit, like journaling or tracking expenses. Stick with it for 30 days. You'll see willpower grow across all areas. We now know willpower can be trained. But what happens when crisis shatters routines? Surprisingly, that's when transformation often begins. Let's dive into Lesson 8, Crisis and Change, how disruption creates new habits. Crises feel devastating, a job loss, a company scandal, a health scare. But Charles Duhigg explains, disruption cracks open old routines, making space for new ones. Why? Because habits loosen during upheaval and change feels more possible. That's why leaders often use crises to introduce better systems. For individuals, personal setbacks often spark life-changing routines, if we choose consciously. Hospitals improve safety after medical errors created public crises. Instead of collapsing, leaders use disruption to build stronger communication habits. What felt like disaster became the doorway to transformation. Someone loses a job. It feels like failure. But if they seize the moment to build new routines, like networking or skill building, the crisis becomes a launchpad. Crisis is painful, but it's also an invitation for transformation. When disruption hits, pause and ask, what new habit can I build right now? Use the break in routine as a reset button. Crises spark individual change. But can habits scale to shift entire societies? The answer is yes. Let's uncover Lesson 9, Social Habits, Movements, and Collective Change. Imagine a spark growing into a wildfire. That's how social habits create movements. Charles Duhigg shows that habits spread through communities. When enough people adopt the same routine, it becomes a social norm, fueling massive change. Movements succeed not because of one leader, but because ordinary people share habits that build momentum. Civil rights, health campaigns, environmental reforms. None grew from speeches alone. They thrived on collective routines repeated daily until unstoppable. The civil rights movement gained strength through shared habits. Church meetings, boycotts, storytelling. These routines built trust and persistence, sustaining the movement for years. Recycling feels small alone, but when neighbors, schools, and cities adopt it, it becomes culture. Soon, social pressure makes it normal. That's collective habit power. Social habits show us that change is contagious. One action ripples into millions. Start one positive habit in your circle, like gratitude, exercise, or learning. Share it. Invite others. Watch it multiply. Social habits transform societies. But how do we keep progress without being overwhelmed? The answer is small wins, Simple steps that stack. Let's uncover. Lesson 10. Small wins. The secret to lasting change. Think of climbing a mountain. The peak looks impossible, but one step at a time makes it doable. That's the principle of small wins. Charles Duhigg explains, small victories create momentum. They signal progress to the brain, releasing motivation to continue. Instead of overwhelming yourself with huge goals, focus on daily, achievable actions. Each win whispers, I can do this. Over time, small steps add up to massive transformations. Hospitals reduced infection rates by targeting one small win, consistent hand washing. That tiny habit cascaded into cultural shifts, improving safety and saving countless lives. Want to save money? Don't obsess over thousands. Start with $5 a day. That small win builds confidence, and soon you'll naturally save more. Success isn't built overnight. It's built win by win. Pick one goal. Break it into the smallest possible step. Do it daily. Celebrate each win. Momentum will grow. Small wins stack up. But habits don't just change what you do. They change who you are. Let's explore Lesson 11, Identity and Habits. Becoming who you want to be. Imagine saying, I'm trying to quit smoking versus I'm not a smoker. The difference? Identity. Charles Duhigg explains, habits stick when they align with who you believe you are. Routines reinforce identity, and identity reinforces routines. That cycle creates lasting change. Instead of chasing outcome, shift your self-image. Ask, what kind of person do I want to be? Then design habits that match. Over time, your identity becomes reality. Olympic swimmer Michael Phelps built his success on identity. His belief? I'm the kind of person who never skips a routine. That identity anchored his training, his focus, and his victories. Habits weren't chores. They were who he was. A student says, I'm not a procrastinator, and builds study habits to prove it. Over time, actions align with belief, and belief becomes reality. Identity-driven habits outlast motivation because they're who you are. Pick one identity statement. I am healthy. I am disciplined. I am a learner. Choose one habit that proves it. Repeat daily until it feels natural. We've reached the heart of habit transformation. Identity. Now it's time to put it all together into a system you can follow daily. Let's uncover Lesson 12. Designing your habit system, your blueprint for success. You've learned about loops, cravings, belief, small wins, and identity. But unless you organize them, habits won't last. That's where systems come in. Charles Duhigg shows that a habit system links cues, routines, rewards, and keystone habits into a framework that supports your goals. Systems are stronger than willpower. They remove decision fatigue and create stability. Once in place, habits don't depend on daily effort. They flow naturally. Starbucks trained employees with habit systems for customer service. Instead of improvising under stress, they followed practiced routines. These systems made service excellence consistent. Want to get fit? Don't set vague goals. Build a system. Cue, morning alarm. Routine, 10 push-ups. Reward, tracking progress. Repeated daily, it becomes effortless. Systems turn scattered habits into a lifestyle. Pick one area, health, work, or relationships. Build a system with clear cues and routines. Stick with it for 30 days. Let's return to where we began. Those frustrating moments when change felt impossible. Now you know. It wasn't you failing. It was your habits quietly running the show. But Charles Duhigg's The Power of Habit proves this. Habits aren't destiny. They're patterns, and patterns can be rewritten. We explored the habit loop, Keystone Habits, Cravings, Belief, Willpower, Small Wins, Identity, and Systems. Each principle is one piece of the puzzle. Together, they form a roadmap to transformation. Here's your action plan. Pick one principle each week. Apply it. Anchor it with belief and identity. Soon, you won't just be building habits. You'll be building a new self. Remember, real power isn't in willpower. It's in systems. Design your habits, and you design your future. If you're still here, it means you truly want change, and that's powerful. Thank you for joining Unique Audiobook, where we condense the world's best books into life-changing lessons. If this summary inspired you, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs it. Drop a comment below saying, "I'm ready to redesign my habits," and make it your first action step today. We've already covered 100+ powerful books, and many more are coming. For the full audiobook experience, check the link in the description. Start your transformation now.